The rejection email hadn't even been sent yet when Daniel Harper stood up, buttoned his worn navy blazer, and said quietly, "A thank you for the opportunity." But what happened next would change three lives forever. Daniel had practiced that sentence in the mirror the night before. Calm voice. Steady hands, no hint of desperation. He had learned long ago that the world respected composure more than pain. Yet as he turned toward the glass door of Sterling and Rowe Financial, he felt the weight of everything he hadn't said pressing against his ribs. Behind the polished oak desk, Olivia Sterling watched him walk away, and something about it didn't sit right. Daniel was 34 years old, a widower, and the father of a 7-year-old girl named Lily Harper. Sant. He used to be a senior logistics coordinator for a mid-sized manufacturing company in Chicago. He used to own a modest home with a small backyard where Lily chased butterflies and where his wife, Emma, planted sunflowers every spring. He used to have a normal life. Emma's sudden illness had dismantled that life piece by piece. The hospital bills swallowed their savings. Daniel left his job temporarily to care for her, thinking he would return once things stabilized. They never did. After Emma passed away, Daniel found himself unemployed, in debt, and raising a grieving child who asked every night why heaven didn't have visiting hours. He sold the house, moved into a small apartment, took freelance warehouse shifts, drove rideshare at night while Lily slept at a neighbor's home, Yoder's home. He slept 4 hours a day, sometimes less. And yet, he never missed Lily's school recital. He never forgot her lunch. He never let her see him cry. When he saw the job opening at Sterling and Rowe Financial, operations manager, he hesitated. He had the experience. More than enough. But it had been almost a year since he'd held a formal corporate position. Would they even consider him? They did. The interview process was brutal. 3 rounds, 2 assessment tests, 1 panel presentation. Daniel prepared at night, reviewing financial models while Lily colored beside him at the kitchen table. "Are you studying for school, Daddy?" she asked. Something like that," he smiled. This final interview was supposed to be a formality, but halfway through, it unraveled. Olivia Sterling was not just the interviewer, she was the CEO. At 38, she had built Sterling and Rowe into one of the fastest-growing financial advisory firms in the Midwest. She was known for her sharp instincts, her strategic mind, and her intolerance for mediocrity. When Daniel entered the room, she noticed the scuffed edges of his shoes, the careful way he held his resume folder, the exhaustion in his eyes. She also noticed the intelligence in them. The interview began smoothly. Daniel explained supply chain restructuring with clarity. He outlined cost-saving strategies. He answered scenario-based questions with thoughtful logic. Then Olivia asked the question that shifted everything. "There's a 3-year employment gap here," she said, tapping the resume. "You listed freelance work, but no full-time leadership roles. Why?" Daniel's throat tightened. He had prepared for this. "My wife was diagnosed with acute leukemia," he said steadily. "I stepped away to care for her and our daughter." Olivia's expression softened for half a second before professionalism returned. "I'm sorry for your loss," she said, But this role requires consistent executive-level experience. Our clients expect stability." Daniel nodded. "I understand." The rest of the interview felt colder. Technical questions grew sharper. Olivia challenged his projections aggressively. Daniel defended his answers, but fatigue crept in. When she asked him to calculate a revised margin adjustment on the spot, he stumbled, not because he didn't know it, but because his mind momentarily drifted to Lily's school pickup time. He corrected himself within seconds, but seconds matter. Belvere. The panel exchanged glances. When it ended, Olivia thanked him politely. "We'll be in touch." Daniel recognized corporate language. He had used it himself in past hiring decisions. He had failed. As he stepped into the hallway, Daniel felt a strange calmness. Not anger, not even disappointment. Just resignation. He pressed the elevator button. Inside the interview room, Olivia stared at the closed door. Culling was wrong. She replayed the conversation in her head. His strategic breakdown had been solid. His crisis management scenario response had been exceptional. He had proposed a vendor consolidation model that none of her current managers had suggested. So why did she feel like she had just let the right person walk out? Her assistant, Marcus Red, leaned forward, a technically strong but rusty, and that gap is concerning. Olivia nodded slowly. Rusty? So, or resilient? She suddenly remembered something. During a behavioral question, she had asked Daniel to describe the most difficult leadership challenge he had faced. He didn't talk about budgets. He talked about telling his 6-year-old daughter that her mother wasn't coming home. And then he said something that had stuck with her. Leadership isn't about control, he had said quietly. It's about showing up when you're falling apart and choosing responsibility anyway. That wasn't a rehearsed answer. That was lived experience. Olivia stood abruptly. Marcus, hold the candidate file. She walked out of the room. Daniel had reached the lobby when he heard footsteps echoing across marble floors. Mr. Harper, he turned. Olivia Sterling was walking. No, almost running toward him. The receptionist stared in shock. CEOs did not run after failed candidates. Daniel's heartbeat quickened. Did I forget something? He asked cautiously. Olivia stopped in front of him, slightly breathless. I may have, she said. There was a long pause. You answered one question incorrectly, she continued. The margin adjustment. The margin adjustment. Daniel's face fell slightly. Yes, I corrected, I know, but I asked you to calculate under pressure. I didn't ask how you would rebuild a broken operations system from the ground up. He blinked. I'm not sure I understand. Olivia studied him carefully. Why did you really walk away so calmly? Daniel hesitated. Because I can't afford to waste energy on things I can't control, he said honestly. My daughter's waiting for me. That's what matters. There it was again. Clarity, priority, integrity. Olivia made a decision that would ripple through her company. Harper, she said firmly, I'd like to offer you a 6-week contract project instead. He stared at her. He stared at her. Trial restructuring assignment. A high pressure. Real stakes. If you succeed, the operations manager role is yours. Daniel's mind raced. Contract meant no guarantees. It meant risk. It meant proving himself twice as hard. But it also meant hope. I accept, he said without hesitation. The challenge was brutal. Sterling and Rowe had recently acquired a struggling regional advisory firm. Integration was failing. Client complaints were rising. Internal systems were misaligned. 2 senior managers had already threatened resignation. Daniel was placed in the middle of chaos, and some employees resented him immediately. A trial hire, one muttered. A charity case, whispered another who had Googled his employment gap. Daniel heard it all. He didn't respond. Instead, he listened. He met with every department head individually. He asked questions. He took notes. He stayed late, not to impress, but to understand workflow bottlenecks. At night, he reviewed data at his kitchen table while Lily did homework. Did you get the job, Daddy? She asked one evening. Not yet, he smiled. I'm earning it. The first major crisis hit in week 2. A high net worth client threatened to pull a $40 million portfolio. Due to integration errors, the assigned account manager froze. Panic spread through the department. Olivia watched silently as executives scrambled. Daniel stepped forward. May I? He asked. He requested full access to the client file. He noticed discrepancies in reporting timelines caused by system overlap. Instead of blaming IT or management, he scheduled a direct call with the client. During that call, he did something unexpected. He apologized, not defensively, not vaguely, just specifically. He explained the technical issue in plain language. He outlined a corrective timeline. He assigned himself as direct oversight until resolution. The client paused, then said, "You're the first person here who sounds accountable." The portfolio stayed. Word spread internally. Week 4 brought another obstacle. Budget overruns surfaced due to redundant vendor contracts. Executives had overlooked it for months. Daniel proposed a phased consolidation plan projected to save 18% annually. Marcus reviewed the numbers twice. They're accurate, he admitted reluctantly. By week 5, even skeptics were asking for Daniel's input, but the final test came unexpectedly. On the last week of his contract, Lily's school called. She had fainted during recess. Daniel was in the middle of presenting his final integration report to the executive board when his phone vibrated repeatedly. He silenced it once, twice. The third time, he saw the school's number. His voice faltered. Olivia noticed. Is something wrong? She asked. Daniel looked at the boardroom, then at his phone. I'm my daughter, he said simply. He gathered his papers. He apologized. I need to leave. Some executives exchanged disapproving glances. The presentation wasn't finished. Olivia studied him carefully. "A go," she said. He left without defending himself. At the hospital, he held Lily's small hand while doctors ran tests. It was dehydration, nothing serious. But the fear had shaken him. That evening, he emailed the completed report from the hospital waiting room. No excuses, just results. The next morning, Daniel arrived at the office prepared to accept whatever decision awaited him. Olivia called him into her office. She didn't sit behind her desk this time. She stood by the window overlooking the city. "You walked out of the boardroom yesterday," she began, full on. Yes, you risked the offer. Offer? Yes, Daniel didn't hesitate. Because no title is worth missing the moment my child needs me." Silence filled the room. Then Olivia smiled faintly. That's exactly why you're the right leader." She extended her hand. Daniel Harper, welcome to Sterling and Rowe as our new operations manager." He exhaled a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding for months. A thank you. But Olivia wasn't finished. "I built this company after my own father chose work over family every single time," she said quietly. He missed graduations, birthdays, hospital visits. I promised myself I'd never reward that kind of leadership." Daniel felt something shift between them, not employer and employee, but mutual respect. Months later, Sterling and Rowe's integration became a case study in operational turnaround success. Revenue stabilized. Employee retention improved. Client satisfaction rose. Daniel introduced flexible scheduling policies for parents. Equity increased rather than declined. He never forgot where he came from. One evening, as he left the office on time for Lily's school play, Marcus stopped him. "You know," Marcus said awkwardly, "I misjudged you." Daniel smiled. "It happens." When Lily stepped onto the stage that night and spotted her father in the front row, her face lit up brighter than any spotlight. And Daniel understood something profound. Failure had not been the end of his story. It had been the door. Olivia had chased him down a marble hallway because she recognized something beyond credentials, character under. And Daniel had proven that resilience, accountability, and love were not weaknesses in leadership. They were strengths. The inspiring truth: sometimes you have to walk away believing you failed for the right person to run after you. And sometimes the interview you think you lost is the moment someone finally sees who you truly are.